Gooning. The topic of today's video is gooning. I don't know why I said that like you didn't read the title and click on this video, but if you didn't know, you need more clarity, now you know. Apologies for the change of scenery and setup. I'm currently working on getting a new bed, as you can see. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't change the cinematic experience of my videos. If you clicked on this video, I'm going to guess that you already know what gooning is, so I'm not even going to get into describing that. But we really are in the month of November, known for its cold nights, rainy weather, autumn leaves, and most importantly, No Nut November. Movement that encourages you to stop playing with yourself and practice some self-control. It also breeds a lot of mindfulness and trust within yourself that you do have that self-control and discipline. Also, just so you don't keep, beating your... I feel so uncomfortable saying it, but you know what I mean. This has been a movement that's been going on for quite a while, like ever since I came of age of knowing what gooning even is, or like masturbating. So it's really cool to see what the internet can do with the power of community behind it. But even then, there are people that still choose to rebel. And if you're watching, I can see you through the screen, you little cheeky. There are people who still choose to go with their urges and rebel from that supposed enlightenment that comes from you abstaining from it, allowing you to reach your supposed potential. And see, I say supposedly because there really isn't any significant data to back that you are going to gain any benefits from abstaining from gooning or releasing your semen. We really only have our own self-reports and the fact that semen retention came from ancient civilizations. I don't know about you, but if something has ancient civilizations backing it up, I'm going to trust it more. It's just the way it is. Those ancient civilizations really had no reason to lie about semen retention being a bad habit and that you should retain it in order to reach a more fully actualized self, you know what I mean? And the fact that a lot of celebrities, boxers, and so on and so forth have spoken about how they practice semen retention to get the most out of their crafts.
I used to be watching porn, talking about, man, that nigga killing that whole son. One time, his brother had told me, he say, that's self-mutilation, jacking off to another man's success. And then he started telling me about sex transmutation, where you could take that sexual energy and channel it into your workouts, into your craft, into your music. You were traveling it, channel it into whatever it is that you focused on at the time.
So if you take all those things into account and also the feeling of post-nut clarity, abstaining from releasing your semen should be a no-brainer. But like I said, there are still people that choose to happily waste their semen due to the pleasures that it gives them when they do so. And I really wanted to look into this divide because with any great divide, there has to be a reason as to why people do this. And I think one of the biggest reasons is the attitude of the people that do retain their semen having a bad impression on people that don't.
I quit porn for 90 days and I'm a different man. And don't think I'm still back on it because I will be quitting forever.
Do you watch porn?
No. I stopped watching porn 15 years ago.
Your life in the last 15 years, would you say you're more accomplished now or less accomplished?
Way more accomplished. I mean, 15 years ago, I was in New York, about to go to FIU, wasn't an entrepreneur, broke as hell.
See, I see many people online documenting their semen retention journey, and they always compare the person that they are now to the person that they used to be. And what I get from a lot of these videos are a superiority complex from a lot of the men. The oozing aura of someone telling you how proud they are of themselves in order to quote-unquote motivate you. But we know what you're doing. You just wanna flex real quick because it's pretty average to actually watch porn. Like, that's the average thing. What's not average is to not watch porn. So of course that's going to breed a little bit of superiority within your mind. Or maybe I'm just assuming, I don't know. I'm just here to preach my thoughts. Don't attack me. But just from an observation standpoint, I get the vibe that a lot of these people base their whole identity on the fact that they don't watch porn or the fact that they are on semen retention and how they went from a sorry loser to now being a godly being. And although that definitely can be motivating, it also has the risk of coming across as cringe. The best way I can explain it while relating it to something relevant is those alpha male gurus who talk about themselves in the most unhumble way in order to motivate you, or just say some toxic masculinity quote that they saw on the internet. Think that they're motivating you and coming across as inspiring. They really are just becoming the next best TikTok edit. See, it's not really the concept itself, but the way you present it to someone. And especially with the NoFap community, I do think there's a bit of an exaggeration with the supposed benefits that you're supposed to get from this practice.
Going on NoFap, you guys actually make me laugh. You think this NoFap is a joke. This isn't something you go on for a couple weeks. You have to go on it for 6 months plus to really see good results, like extreme results. Aren't you tired of being an average player? Aren't you tired of being an average athlete? Yeah, I'm talking to you right now.
Here's how no gooning and no court makes you a master of your own emotions.
See, a lot of influencers on the internet know that you are insecure about your sexual habits, so they'll make sure to sell you semen retention in the most exaggerated way. One, to boost engagement, and also to make you more quick to hop on the trend. Which is unfortunate because, in my opinion, just off of observation and my personal experience, I say semen retention is definitely a healthy habit to implement into your life. But when you start exaggerating it and making it sound like the key to life and success, you can cause more damage than good. And that's really how people be selling it. But one thing that you need to remember is if you have anxiety, depression, your girl cheated on you, someone in your family passed away, you lost your job, those problems are still going to be there whether you goon or you don't goon. You know, it's just the way life is. I can't, like, I don't know why I have to say that out loud, but I think some people fall for that trap. I definitely did. I thought I was gonna become Superman when I was like 16 and I first heard about semen retention. And that's the dangers of it, and that's the dangers of really consuming the internet too much, taking everything at face value. Like, for me, if I was that person and I was so butthurt about not getting all those supernatural benefits that you hear on the videos, I'd just go back to gooning tenfold just as a fuck you to the whole NoFap community. Alright, let's do another transition, cause I'm getting bored of this area. We might just go back to the old area though. I ain't going. Hopefully that looks like how I planned it to look in the edit when I'm editing this, but if it didn't, just laugh. And yeah, let's move on to the next point. While saying fuck you to the NoFap community, you're also actually saying fuck you to yourself. See, behind all the pleasures that you get from gooning, there is something deep inside of you that's ashamed of it, that brought you to the whole idea of semen retention in the first place. And that brings me to my next point. Why is gooning ruining your potential? Well, many studies have shown that excessively gooning can cause anxiety, depression, mood swings, premature ejaculation, but we're not gonna focus on any of that. The main problem that I wanna go into, and what I think is the biggest hole on your potential as a human being, is the hypersexuality of your brain when you are excessively gooning, which simply means that your perspective on not so sexual things suddenly turns so sexual. And I think that has been a very big curse for this generation in particular, and is going to affect the last generation, while media, the internet, and gooning just becomes more accessible. I see a lot of this with the jokes we make nowadays as people, the compliments that we give out, and being more careful on how we compliment people of the same gender, the opposite gender. You know, interactions just become more restricted because your brain is always looking at things in a hypersexual viewpoint. Like, one thing that I hate is when people say pause. Like, that really just irritates me, because most of the time it would be the most normal thing and someone's just gonna say pause right after, like you just said the most craziest sentence of all existence. Just last week I told someone that I've been grinding and they said pause to me, and I had to respond like, no, I've been grinding very flipping hard, so no, we're not going to pause on that. Oh man, I know someone watching this is even going to say pause like in their head while I just said that, saying you're a part of the problem. When you've been engaging in so much sexual things, you've been engaging with so much sexual media, your mind starts to look at everything in a sexual way. You are the way you are because of what you consume. So if you're always consuming sexual energy, always consuming lustful energy through the music you listen to, that movie scene, that advert of the perfume where the people are half naked, you're always going to see everything in life in a sexual way, and that could disrupt your relationships with people, how you socialize, interact, and so on and so forth. And that is enough for me to warrant gooning as ruining your potential. That's the first point down, the first real point. If you got anything to argue back with me, put that in the comment down below. I probably am not going to read it, but it'll help my engagement. I'm way too lazy to do another transition, so we're just gonna stay here and just look at each other's eyes. Now, on a more biological front, I think it's obvious to see why gooning can be very harmful for you once you realize what your nut actually is and what its purpose is for. And to say this in a way where I sound smarter than I actually am, I'm going to quote religious text. Bible quote on procreation. Genesis 2:24 states that a man and a woman in marriage become one flesh, and 1 Corinthians 6:18 instructs believers to flee from sexual immorality. Sexual immorality being gooning and having sex with random partners just for the pleasure of it. Basically, your nut is only meant to be engaged with your actual partner. And with your nut, you're meant to make little versions of yourself so they can then make more little versions of yourself, and so on and so forth. Now that can sound a little bit weird saying out loud, but it definitely sounds a lot better than you just gooning and letting that energy and semen out with no real purpose behind it, other than 5 seconds of sweet dopamine and then posting a clarity. So remember that. And I think the main beauty behind this point isn't even the fact that your semen can create life, but the fact that your semen can create life. Like, when we really take into account, you have the energy within yourself, and women have the energy within themselves to create a human being, and you start to really grasp that. You start to grasp how much energy you really have inside of you when you stop gooning altogether. So you can't really deny or make an argument that you should be wasting something of that precious nature. But then you could also make the argument that that energy is not being used for anything. And to that I reply with the theory of energy. Energy cannot be destroyed or created. It can only be transferred. The light that's in my room, the electricity using to power this device we call a camera, this is all energy that has been transferred through different sources and has created this, you know, magical room and setup. I really miss my bed, bro. But like, this is real humbling though. It could be worse. Potential that comes from holding onto that energy is transferring it into your life, your crafts, your artwork, your work even. Just transferring it and using that energy to make those things more full. Relationships, that's something that I saw within myself on Semen Retention. I craved speaking to people, and my communication with people, just how I walked into a room, how I felt about myself just went up, because I wasn't always wasting. I wasn't always feeling tired or drained. I wasn't in that posting of clarity aura. I was in the aura that I'm right now, which is alive. I was actually alive, not just gooning. Even with that, I would say gooning does get a bad share of stigma. I don't feel like gooning, like on occasion, is really that bad. You choose what you do with your body, and if there really isn't any religious connotation to it that tells you it's immoral or something of that nature, then go on, just, you know, shoot that at the end of the week. But know that you're wasting some sort of energy, and you're wasting something that could have potentially made you more of a person. I think that makes sense, and I think we are just about to wrap up this video. On this, it says that 32 minutes I've been recording like straight. I want to know how this translates into editing, because I really don't like long videos, but maybe you guys do. I feel like my longer videos perform better anyways on my channel. But yeah, that was Gooning is Ruining Your Potential. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to join the community. I'm trying to hit 300 subscribers before the end of the year, so help me hit that goal. And yeah, man, it's been your boy Men's TV, back in 900 Thoughts from the Dome to your phone. I'm out.